You're here to find out what's in store for you next month, June 2021, with an Oracle card reading forecast by me, Kylie Savage Psychic. So, yes, we've switched it up a little bit. We've gone from doing the weekly Oracle card reading to now I'm looking at doing more of a monthly forecast and prescription, a monthly Oracle card reading. And if you're new to this channel, then welcome. It's lovely to have you here. And you've been watching along for a while, then you'll know that I'm back after quite a long break. Yet, thank you. I really do appreciate you returning and continuing to support myself, my work, and this channel. That's terrific. So, yes, if you are new, and if you go back and watch the last video I uploaded, you'll understand what's been going on for me in my world and with my work, and that I took off January as I always do each year, and then I just found it a little bit more challenging to return to the channel, and I've decided to do that, make a switch from weekly readings to monthly readings, and see if that's something that I can cultivate and expand upon. And probably the format for the readings will change a bit as well. So I admit I felt quite nervous about showing up again and doing a reading, and I'll also be reading from Colette Baron-Reid's The Enchanted Map Oracle, which has just had a facelift. She's revamped this Oracle card deck and changed some of the cards and a little bit of the language in it to make it a little bit more culturally appropriate and a little bit, more diversified. And yeah, so it has a different blue cover, more of this kind of blue, that lighter blue, and different sort of printing and everything. So yes, and it's a map. It's an Oracle deck that I've been working with my Journaling with Spirit, the Path to You Facebook group, and I chose that deck to work with for the whole month. Yet, even though I've had that deck for a very long time, it's still a deck I'm not very familiar with. I admit the first deck that I ever bought was Colette Baron-Reid's Wisdom of Avalon, and it's still my go-to deck, and it's very well worn. Having all the golds come off the edges of the cards and all the rest of it. And it's a card, it's a deck that I feel really confident and familiar with. And that's a really good tip. If you are just starting your journey into reading Oracle cards or reading, probably more Oracle cards, not so much tarot, find a deck, and particularly it's good to find a deck that doesn't reverse. So the card only has one meaning, and it can't be read, upside down or anything like that. And it doesn't have multiple meanings for cards. The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid, that deck, every card can have up to 3 meanings. I think that's right. So 3 or 4. So yeah, it's really good to get yourself a deck. The cards don't reverse. They can only be read upright, one way. And it's a deck that's not too large, something that's easy for you to handle and shuffle and everything, especially if you're even a beginner to shuffling cards and doing spreads and pulling cards out and all the rest. And really get to know that deck so well. And you can do that by doing something I call a daily pick. That is asking one question each day, writing it down as like in a journal or a notebook, however you want to say it, and getting a response to that question, writing that down, the name of the card and all the rest of it. And if you are a super new beginner to Oracle cards and you would like to know more, I really recommend going over and liking my Facebook page. And in there too, you will find out more about that free group, the Journaling with Spirit, the Path to You. That's a free Facebook group, but it's only for people who are really committed to establishing a journaling practice. It will help you with your Oracle card readings because that's how we do it. We do journaling with Oracle cards. Yet it's not for you if if you have a lot on your plate and you're just not really interested or able to make a commitment to a practice like that at the moment, because in there we do the daily pick. But yeah, go back, get yourself a notebook, Date all your entries. That's really important. Write your question, write the response, and each day just pick a card. And then when you pick that card, you sit with it and you look at the card, you look at the number of the card, any of the symbols that jump out at you, and first and foremost, you write down whatever comes to you with that card. And then you go and you look at the guidebook and you read what it says in the guidebook, and you see, what's perhaps resonating the most with you from the guidebook, the messages in there. And then, you write those down in your notebook and you carry on. And then you'll be looking for things like themes and symbols and words and numbers, things that jump out at you. And then you can go back and see when these things are happening. And you'll be able to track, a lot of things, your own personal development and growth, spiritual lessons, relationships, how you're co-creating with spirit. You'll be able to track all those things through your Oracle card readings, doing that daily pick. All right, that was a really deep dive. I really went into another tangent with that. I have news. I wanted to say a big shout out to Campbelltown Spiritualist Church and say thank you so much for inviting me there. I was their guest medium, filling in for somebody who couldn't make it. And I haven't been at church in person since well before our, our lockdown, because I usually go there around the end of the year and for their October annual reading. And so I hadn't been there for such a long time, but we had done Facebook Lives, church services via Facebook Lives. So if you want to watch any of those, go over to Campbelltown Spiritual Church, their Facebook group and page, and you can watch all of that. They also have a website. I think it's www.campbelltownspiritualchurch.com, might be .com.au. Okay, so thank you. That was terrific to go to church and see faces, and we got to sing. We were right on the cusp of a restriction easing so that we could all sing together, and I was able to deliver some messages and show people my new cards. I had Laura Bowen's saltwater reading cards, which are so beautiful. Shout out to Laura. And I was able to take them along. I always like to do a bit of show and tell when I get to church. And I was just able to talk about, what was going on for me, what Spirit wanted people to know about and think about lately. So that was terrific. I'll be there again. I'll be there at the end of July, and then I trust all things going well, that they will hold their annual reading day in October. That's a terrific day. It raises funds so that church can pay for things like public liability insurance and, cover all their costs to stay open. And you can get readings from a variety of psychics and healers and astrologists for a very reasonable donation. And it's usually I'm trying to think now, I think it's on a Saturday sometime in October. So you said, go ahead and like my Facebook page. I always post in events when I'm going to church, or things like, wherever I'm attending events like reading days, things like that. And the other place that you can find out where everything is going on for me is my website, www.kyliesavage.com. So my name's spelled a little bit differently. The Savage is spelled Savidge. So all one word. You can find out. I have a blog, I have an events page, I have all my latest news. Okay, what else did I have to tell you about? I wrote myself notes because there was so much to get through. Okay, I have a quick question special, and it is $55 Australian dollars for one question, and you and we get together on Video Messenger, and I will quickly answer your one question. So if you would like to book that, I'm going to put a link on the Facebook page. You'll book it through my booking, what do you call it? I can't even think now. But the schedule I make bookings through. I'll get there. Don't worry. The link will be there. In the meantime, if you see this and you're like, that's it, I just have to hurry up and book that, you can email me at info@kyliesavage.com and just put in the subject line, I'd like to book a quick question reading. All my work is prepaid. It's also guaranteed. And if you're not 100% happy, you get your money back, just less a little processing fee. So definitely get in for that. Now, that's going to go from now until the 30th of June. That's how long that special will run for. Because the other big news is I have changed how I do readings. I'm transitioning into other areas of my business, and so I've had to make some big changes to how I do readings. So, unless you're booking the special, and from time to time I'll probably still run specials, I always have, then what will happen is you can book one service with me. It's a psychic reading, it's done on Zoom. As you said, they're all prepaid. You use the booking service to book it, and it runs for about 40 to 45 minutes, and it's a one question reading. And the price of that has gone up considerably. And yet, if you are one of my loyal, long-time clients, which means you've had at least 3 readings with me over the last 3 years, then you are eligible for a loyalty discount. And that loyalty discount is $100 off the regular price. So that's terrific to know about. If you're on my newsletter list, which you can also subscribe to at Facebook or by emailing me, then I will be giving that offer also just to the end of June, just to the people on my list. So things to think about. Now, I know it's always difficult when, especially, I've been doing this for such a long time, and I've seen people, over the last 10 and 20 years, and when you make changes to your business. But the thing is, if you are a spiritual biz lady, then your business has grown and evolved as you have. So, that's just the normal, healthy progression of a business. Your services change. You find out what you're really, really good at, and you start to, um, cater to your niche, and you start to understand your value, and you're much better at the work. I mean, when I look back at my original readings, I was so clunky and clumsy. They were, my connection to spirit was, I need to do a lot of work on that, even though I was born a psychic child. And, like, I have really done the work. I've done the study, I've done the practice, I've been out there, and I've been reading for all these years. So, of course, my readings had to get better. And then your prices really need to reflect that. Your level of expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, and your ability to connect people with spirit and to give them a really good, accurate, honest response, and the way that you do that. So, yeah, the prices really do reflect that, and they need to. So, and the way I look at it is, you will book the reading with the psychic who is going to be the best fit for you at that point in time. They may not be the best psychic. They may not be the best fit for you personality wise, but they are the person who, in that moment in time, spirit can line them up for you, and they are the one that can deliver that message, the very best message that they can get you at that time. And that's what you need and they need to move along on their journey. So, yeah, it's terrific to have long-term clients, and loyalty is a really big value of mine. So I really want to take care of my community. And yet the thing is, it's, if you found that, and people change, and not everyone stays in this industry. People move, people get married, they have children, they move away, they get sick, things happen. So you may not see the same people, over the whole, for a very long period. And I think that's a good thing too. I think it's really good. That's a great thing about psychic fairs and festivals. Go and see different readers and get a feel for how different people deliver messages. And yet one of the most interesting things you'll find is spirit, or will always come through, say, a range of different people delivering a very similar message to you. So, they might, each reader might just add a layer. But at the end of the day, you're going to get the message that spirit is trying to give you at that point in time. Okay, so what else do I have to talk about? I did all that. And so I'm just checking here. Oh, I am looking at offering, because I've been in this industry so long and I'm transitioning into these other areas of my business. What I'm really looking at doing lately is taking all my experience, my wisdom, my knowledge, and looking at different ways that I can share that, especially for people who want to start or they've just started a spiritual business. So you may be working as a healer, you may be working as a psychic, a medium, um, I think an intuitive counselor, any of the healing arts, that sort of thing, an astrologer, and you're just starting or you're in that startup phase. These are the people I would like to work with. Because when I think about who my ideal client is in that, arena, in that particular, with that particular lens, I'm thinking about me, 20 plus years ago, just starting out and being almost absolutely clueless. What I was interested in that at that time was coming to terms with my abilities. And people were asking me, the teachers and the people in the circle were saying, what's your purpose? Like, why are you here? Why do you want to learn about your psychic abilities? Why do you want to be able to develop them? And I said, well, I'm here for me. And they just kind of looked at me like that was the wrong answer. Yeah, I was being completely honest. I was there for me. I had so much healing that I need to do. I had a lot of complex trauma to work through, and my psychic ability was all linked to that. And I couldn't extricate the big psychic experiences I'd had as a child with the complex trauma that I'd also experienced as a child. And when I was reading for somebody recently, that really came up in their reading. It was like, they had real hesitancy and resistance to their psychic development. And I said, or Spirit said through me, because it's linked to your past trauma. And, sometimes when we get into this psychic area, look, it's about feelings. It's really, really about feelings. It's about what's inside of you, and it's about feeling vulnerable and open and letting that out. It's about, a lot of us fear that what it's about is opening up Pandora's box. And we're like, I know this stuff's inside of me. I know it's outside of me. I'm experiencing it. It's coming out sideways. I can't control it. And yet I don't really want to look inside me, because what if I open the lid of that box? What else is going to come out? And some of us have a lot of stuff that we are carrying around. We've been carrying around for a long time. We've been shoving it down. We've been repressing it. We've been doing our damnedest to control it. And we have a lot of fear and trepidation about opening up that Pandora's box and working with our abilities, because intrinsically, intuitively, we know that the key to utilizing our abilities and developing with them lies within us and within all that stuff that we've been trying to shove down and hide from, and trying to suppress and control. Because it's just psychic ability, it's a human ability. All of your psychic senses, they mirror your physical senses, and this is the story of us, and this is another way it's going to be expressed, and we're going to get to know it. So yeah, I totally, totally understand that. And my ideal client, like I said, is the me, that 20 plus years ago, the me who was completely clueless. And then people started saying to me, well, you need to start charging for readings. What? I never thought about working as a psychic for a reading. Never crossed my mind. Didn't even know that was a possibility. Didn't even know people were running businesses. I was so naive and so clueless, and I'd come from a religious background. We weren't allowed to do any of this work. Nobody went and saw a psychic, even though they were in my family. Um, and in other generations in my family, it was very well known, yet not to me. It was really like a whole hidden world for me. So I am looking for the the people out there who were in similar situations to me all that time ago, because these are the people that I can assist and support. You are the ones who I can understand. I know where you're coming from, and I know how to give you the guidance to move forward. And I also know so many of the potholes that you're going to come across, you may come across in spiritual business, some of the just business related things, and some of the spirituality related things. And some of what's really, really great about being an intuitive in business, some of those inner edges, I can help you to focus on those. So if that sounds like something you're loving and you're really interested in, again, go and like the Facebook page, follow that, and look out for some classes that I'm going to be doing. Initially, they'll be free, like pop-up classes, and you can have some input in that. You can tell me what it is that you want to learn, what's your challenge, what are your questions, and I'll do Q&As in them. And you can say, look, this is where I'm at, Kylie, and what do you see for me? What's the what's the next move that I can make, what's the next action I can take. And I can meet you there, and you can utilize all those years of experience and wisdom and knowledge. It feels really good to know that, everything I invested, of course, it's blessed me and my life and my clients, but it feels really good to know that, all those challenges I worked through, they're being repurposed in a really good way. I love it. So yeah, if you're interested, let me know. Okay, so did you know that today we are in Mercury retrograde in Gemini? I just have to have a drink, excuse me. I can talk underwater. If any of you know me, you know that. And I actually have Gemini rising. So now I know where my chatterbox comes from. And chatterboxing is a superpower. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm not too much. I am the perfect amount. Yeah, for anything. So, oh God, what was I talking about now? Yes, Mercury retrograde in Gemini. And on my Facebook page, I posted links to Colette Baron-Reid has done 2 video lessons with a guy who I absolutely love, who Colette introduced me to, introduced all of her audience to, Robert Ohotto. He's just the most delightful gentleman, and he does something called Hollow Compass astrology. And it's not like anything else you're ever going to learn in astrology. He has a membership, he does Facebook Lives. He must have lots of Gemini on his chart too, because man, can that guy talk, and I just love it. You could just sit back. You're in for like a psychology lesson, philosophy lesson, astrology lesson, ancient history lesson, socio-cultural lesson. He can just wrap it all up so beautifully and in a way that really has a meaningful impact on your life. You really get the content, you understand, and it's just so different. I just love it. So yes, those 2 videos are there. And he really touched on the superstition part, which is, we need to hear that, because Mercury retrograde in the mainstream is like, oh, everybody, freaking out and going, it's such a bad, terrible thing. Can't sign a contract. I've seen people saying, do I go have urgent surgery during Mercury retrograde? Excuse me, wouldn't a health issue, urgent surgery, trump something like a superstitious fear of what's going on with the planets? I don't know. Like astrology, don't get me wrong, I'm so into it. I've downloaded my chart and I'm working through it. I have the Astrology Made Easy book by Yasmin Boland. Absolutely adore Yasmin Boland. If you've been watching this channel, you know I go on and on about her work, and I do her co-creative moonology, moon manifesting work. And wasn't that full moon blood eclipse just incredible? But yeah, so Mercury retrograde, don't buy into all the hype. Yeah, this is what Robert says. What it is that he does a lot of work on archetypes. And if you're really interested in archetypes, listen to Robert's work. Go and have a little listen to Carolyn Mace. She has a website with I think 97 archetypes. I really believe in archetypes and have done intuitive dream work for over 20 years too. Anyway, so the trickster archetype comes into the Mercury retrograde. So what he was saying very basically, I hope I'm getting this right, is if you don't listen in the setup stage of Mercury retrograde, listen to the themes. He says, observe your life, look for the symbolism, look for the themes that are coming up. Like I know for me, even though it's not so much the themes of, well, it is Gemini because it's communication, but the theme that's coming up for me lately and diving into the shadow is I need to look at my primary relationship, my romantic relationship, and I need to look at where we're at and the lessons that are coming up and how to evolve into the next phase of our relationship, and the things that I'm maybe not willing to look at and not willing to address, and how they could become stumbling blocks. So the trickster energy in the Mercury retrograde for me, in the themes that are coming up in my life, could trip me up if I don't do my journaling, if I don't do my work, if I don't pray, if I don't meditate, could come up for me in my primary relationship. Like say we make a date and we just, things all seem to fall apart and go wrong. Those possibilities. But like, just be mindful that you're not inviting that in as well. You're not sort of creating that yourself a little bit. So, or attributing things which are just happening to the Mercury retrograde and going, oh, that's Mercury retrograde. let's just take it a little bit deeper than the superstition. So be mindful of that trickster energy. Yes, those things can, things can unravel and everything if you don't pay attention and don't live very mindfully and consciously in the present moment during this time, because it goes to the 22nd of June. And then it has the last part of it as well when we're moving out of the retrograde. So it has 3 phases. I think we're set up. I can't remember, it was integration, then something else. Anyway, go and listen to Robert. He explains it much better. But yeah, just be mindful of that. There's a lot of people that just will jump on the drama. Oh, Mercury retrograde. Oh, your travel plans are going to fall apart, or blah, blah, blah. Let's be smarter than that. Okay, so the question I've asked for all of us, and this is what I want you to do. I've pulled 4 cards from the Enchanted Map, so I'm going to read them in the flow system, and I'll explain that as I go along. Yet I want for you to just right now, sorry, all this talking, just it's good for me to do too. Just take a breath. So let's just breathe in through our nose and breathe out through our mouth. Just arrive in this present moment. So just be thinking about, whatever's going on for you right now, whatever message that you really need to hear that's really going to take you from where you are to where you want to be right now. Breathing into that. And just being open to Spirit's message and guidance, because that's the work we're doing here. And down, shoulders away from ears. And I want for you to choose a number intuitively between 1 and 4. And you can go ahead and do that now. Okay, so when I read the cards, and I'll tell you what number they are, and if I forget, you just have to go back and watch. Sometimes I do that, forgive me. Then that card, the number of that card, whose number you picked, its message will just be a little bit more relevant to you and for whatever's going on for you right now in your life, and that question that you're asking as well. Yet the collective question I'm asking for everybody is, helps if I turn the page. Okay, being mindful that's Mercury retrograde in Gemini from today to the 26th of June. During this Mercury retrograde in Gemini, what is it that Mercury and our higher power want us to know? So Mercury is the messenger from the gods. What do they want us? What do Mercury and our higher power want us to know? Okay. Thirsty work this. All right. And this reading will cover all of June. The 4 cards probably won't necessarily break up into the first, second, third, and fourth week. It doesn't usually happen in that much of a linear fashion. It may, but I don't expect it to. Okay, so the first card, which I call our anchor card, but if you chose card number 1, this is your card, is Deep Freeze. And I hope that you can see in there. This is a beautiful concrete or marble. Let's make him marble. A marble lion laying next to a Arctic-looking wintry pool in the snow. So what Deep Freeze wants us to know going into June, and this really ties in with the Mercury retrograde, is Mercury and is asking us to look at the shadow side of life. It's asking us to do a dive in the shadow, and it's around Gemini, so themes of Gemini. And you could, I don't know, you can look at wherever the Mercury retrograde is happening for you in your chart. So, or wherever perhaps you have Gemini in your chart. So I'm Gemini rising or Gemini ascending. So that means that I'm doing my Gemini work, expression and communication. And so Mercury could be asking all of us to really pause and do this deep dive into the shadow work for whatever it does want us to know what's coming up. And what I really feel like too, they're saying is we've all been through so much, and we are in a very reactive stage and phase, and depending on how we've been experiencing the pandemic and jobs loss, and it's like always waiting for that other shoe to drop and the next bad thing to happen. We really need a circuit breaker. We really need, and a pause can do that, we really need a circuit breaker to dissolve that pattern of reactivity. And I feel like Mercury retrograde and a message from Spirit for June is this is the time we can do that. We can rest, we can retreat. And I've seen that over this whole pandemic. The effect it's had on our physical, mental, and spiritual health has been really that deep fatigue that many of us went through. Then I heard something about, we're all going through this languishing thing. Yet this can be like a very proactive way to get the rest, get the pause, and do the deep reflection to take back some control, a measure of control, because we may have been in this really reactive phase, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. And so we can do this, we can empower ourselves, we can use our agency to take this pause. It's a good time for prayer, great time for meditation, maybe bookend it morning and night through the day if you need it to. And doing lots of, not so much thinking, meditation, but meditation that creates more space for spirit to talk to you. That's what I'm hearing. So chanting your mantras or, doing the setup, a guided meditation, a relaxation meditation where you go to a place and then it's just listening to the music and you just focus on your breath. And in that time, you may think nothing's happening, but, spirit's communicating with you. And when you come out of it and you go about your day, you'll understand the communication and how it's happening. So, yeah, prayer, meditation, journaling. Even if you're not sure about journaling, just getting your thoughts out in some way. Even if that's, I use my voice recorder on my phone, and I just express myself. And what they're saying too is there's a lot of support for you to work through these things and a lot of deep healing for our physical bodies at this time as well. Many of us really, really need that. Please don't feel guilty if you feel, run down, exhausted, fatigued, and you're just tired. And this is Spirit saying, give yourself permission to have rest. And for all of us overdoers out there, this rest is actually a very productive time. It's actually the key to understanding the retrograde and getting the best out of it and understanding getting the best out of June. It's also coming into winter, which I think is really perfect. And for me, the winter themes, if you look at the themes of seasons and how you can live seasonally, I actually just got a book about that and just started looking up the guy, and I can't remember what it's called, but I'll show it to you next time if I remember. So winter, really living and embodying the themes of winter for us in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's a time for less, doing less, for deeply nourishing our bodies, for having more rest, more quiet time, more solitude, and more of that inner reflection. So it's a very introspective, reflective time. It's a deep dive and like letting all the busyness hibernate too. Just letting that have a pause. I know some of us have gone back into lockdown as well. So maybe look at that. That's your power and the agency in the lockdown. Again, we've already learnt that lockdown can be a time where we do start to focus more on ourselves and our inner life. Because we're not able to, be out there and be more social and extrovert and all the rest. So look at, what can you take from this time? How can you utilize this time to empower yourself so that you're ready when you do, come back out more into the spring and rejoin the world and get busy again. So the next action to take, and if you chose card number 2, this is your card. Number 2 card is Magic Prayer. Now, what's really important is these 2 cards, so these 4 cards all go in a flow system. So each card's message leads on to the next. So we had the anchor card, which is the situation. We dropped anchor. We can see 360 degrees around. That's the major theme for everyone. And then the next right action is, it's adding on to the story. Magic Prayer. It's absolutely lovely. I keep thinking of when I see this card, she looks like the White Witch out of The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. I can't think of that lady's name. It'll probably come to me later on. She looks so fantastic, but that picture reminds me of her. So Magic Prayer is about, during this Mercury retrograde time in Gemini, there will be things that come up for you, those themes, the shadow stuff, what Mercury wants you to know, and what it is that you can work on when we do come out of that pause and that rest time. And what they're saying is, your prayers will be answered, yet they've got to be kept in alignment with Spirit's will for you. So thy will be done through me. Which is something, many of us find it's just a weird concept. And if we haven't done a lot of spiritual work, if we're quite new to spirituality and universal law and co-creating and all the rest, and we're just like, it's a very paradoxical concept and understanding that we're empowered when we surrender our power to our higher power. Sound like a puzzle, didn't it? And when we surrender our will to our higher power. So co-creation is about our will aligned with our higher power's will. You can say God, you can say the goddess. I don't have a problem with any of those words. They're very loaded for some people though. So magic prayer is whatever your wish is, whatever comes up for you, whatever the learning was during that pause period, during this retrograde period, it's like, these are my next right steps. This is where I can see this project going, or this business going, or this relationship going. I can see it. Just know that those intentions and those next actions you're going to take, they're going to be blessed as long as you pray that they're in alignment with your higher power's will for you and for everyone else. So say things like, for my own highest good and the highest good of all. All right, so card number 3. If you chose card number 3, it's actually called Unexpected Visitors, but it was in the protection position. So this is the tricky thing. Okay, so you've been in the pause, you've been in the hibernation, you're looking at the shadow side, things are coming up. You can take the next right action with that. Those actions are blessed, and yet you need to be prepared for the unexpected. And what is it? If you always expect the unexpected, everything comes, arriving like it's a surprise, it's a blessing, yay! Most of the time, when unexpected visitors show up, something unpleasant happens, something that you weren't really expecting. It's not usually a big deal, but it's something that you weren't prepared for, and it's challenging. It's not the news that you wanted, so it's a little bit of a hiccup. Yet what it is sometimes too, because if you are co-creating, you're making movements in the world. You're causing a ripple effect. For every action is equal and opposite reaction. So sometimes you'll go out there and you'll be co-creating something, and you'll be moving along the path, and the dominoes fall a certain way. And this could be one of the unexpected consequences of a domino fall. Like, but I didn't see that coming, because you just can't know everything and see everything. It's the unknown, it's uncertainty, and that's wherein lies the magic. What will happen for you when this does happen, if this does happen, is you need to embrace and encompass the unexpected visitors, the unexpected consequence, and see it as a part of everything, not as a stop sign. Very important. Do not see it as a stop sign. See it as and that. And we pick that up and we move through that as well, and see it as kind of enriching your experience. And if it's a pothole, it's like, okay, I see that pothole now, and if I come down this path again or a similar one and I see the same pothole, I know what to do about it. And it's like, tying off the loopholes. You just don't know all the loopholes until you practice whatever it is you're going to do. So forgive yourself. Don't let it stop you. Very important. Okay, and the last card, if you chose card number 4, is Come Together. I'll show it to you in the upright position. I love this. There's another card called Encouragement with like a mama giraffe and a baby giraffe. I love that. It's come up for me before. So 2 giraffes kissing on love hearts with a pelican at the top. And it came in the protection position. So if you chose card number 4, this is your card. And what it is, because also it's diagonally opposite against the pause, is you need to know that, like I'm looking at, from a relationship perspective, even if this retrograde period does bring up from the shadow side, the shadow side of things, and it highlights things that you need to work on in your relationship, that doesn't mean the relationship's over, that it's not a bad relationship. that it can't be something that can't be, whatever the challenge is, that it can't be worked through. I really, really want to encourage all of you not to get despondent or depressed or downhearted about any of the challenges that may come up during Mercury retrograde. I want you to see this as this is your being, these are tests to strengthen you, to strengthen your resolve, your intuition, your psychic abilities, your commitment to your own personal spiritual growth and evolution. I sort of look at it as like, isn't it great? The Spirit loves us so much that they are willing to keep educating us. They're willing to set up these challenges and to support us through them so that we can be and do and have more. Isn't it great that they care? They care that much intimately about each and every one of us. So come together is there may be some bumps. You may have had a project, collaboration, a business partnership, you may be in a romantic relationship, which you may see some things about your relationship and your partner which are really, the spotlight's going to shine quite brightly on them over this time, and there may be things that you need to work through. And yet, please know that that can happen. And if you make a decision during this time and you're not sure about it, you get to revisit it again down the track, because astrologically that's what the retrogrades do. And yet it's like, perhaps, I just want to keep saying there's support. There's a lot of support for whatever it is you do experience at this time, and you're not doing any of this alone. And even if it's a relationship that has come to the end of one part of its journey or the end, I don't think that separation is a permanent thing. And I would encourage you to reflect more on if there are problems in the relationship or the business partnership or the project, like what's your part in that? Like, what are you really being affected by and why? And maybe if you can't do anything else about other people, which we can't, just look at, okay, well, for me, what's the part, that's relevant for me? What do I need to do some healing on? What do I maybe need some counseling or some guidance on? What do I maybe need a bit more self-compassion, self-love on? And some more time with? What do I need to spend some more time on? Know you're always worth it. You're always worth all the energy and the time and the effort it takes for you to heal, for you to experience peace and calm, and for you to achieve whatever goals you have in your life. I trust this reading is going to be valid and accurate and supportive to you for wherever you're at. And I'd love to hear all about it in the comments below. If you ever have any questions, you said reach out. You can email me or go and visit the Facebook page, also on Instagram as well. And like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. That would be fantastic. And share it with your friends. All right. Have a blessed June. I will catch you in July.